Paul Howard would now like to be thought of as the great prosecutor of police that do wrong. But you and I know the reality.
Does your endorsement by the police union make you ineffective in prosecuting police crimes?
No, sir. The police union, let's be very clear, they endorsed me. I'm endorsed by 6 organizations. They are one of the 6. They cut me a check, 2 checks, but the 2 checks together total $2,500. I have raised close to, if not in excess of, $400,000 that want to invest in having a good DA.
Paul Howard took office in 1997. 4 years later, he hired Fani Willis as one of his top prosecutors. But now Willis says that Howard has politicized his office at the expense of crime victims as he tries to beat her in a runoff.
Paul Howard is prosecuting the police officer who shot Rayshard Brooks.
Rayshard Brooks was shot and killed by an Atlanta police officer in a Wendy's parking lot in June.
We can't even anymore discuss if this is political. In Paul Howard's ads that he has running on television, he has images from an open active case, the Brooks case. That is unethical to do. It is violation of Georgia bar rules. You are actually using a family's pain to promote yourself, all while you do that, making sure that that family can never get justice. That case is not going to be able to be tried in Fulton County.
Howard was critical of Willis for getting endorsed by the police union.
When the police union endorses the DA, what that indicates is that the DA will not prosecute policemen. And I don't think it's appropriate for DAs to accept endorsements or funding from police unions.
Does your endorsement?
What's up, guys? We're gonna jump right on into it, and we're back at it again with straight fact. Now, I know a few people are saying, this is not fact, these are all lies. There's no way what you're saying is true. Yeah, except for I gave you accompanying sources and videos and families.
Willis's decision to dismiss the case of DeAndre Phillips.
You're telling us community members that you're going to believe someone who has already lied under oath 3 separate times.
This is surveillance video of the January 2017 shooting involving off-duty Atlanta police officer Yassim Abdullahad. He shot Phillips during a confrontation on Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway. Family members say Phillips complied with the officer's commands.
The reason why these officers keep doing it is because they keep slapping them on their hand. Yes. They need to be held accountable.
We just want justice for my nephew. I want my sister to be able to have some peace.
Advocates say Willis overlooked Abdullahad's history of violence towards citizens and another open case involving the officer.
The same, it's called evidence. It's the same thing that Fani Willis will be using to prosecute Trump. Now, guys, if you haven't checked out my previous video, you may do so if you want to get caught up to speed in what in the world I am talking about to begin with. If not, so be it. Let's try to catch up like one of those good episodes, but you just in the middle of season 2. All right. Anyway, back to Fani Willis. This is who I've been speaking about. She is the prosecuting attorney who is prosecuting Trump. And the issue ordinarily wouldn't be with a prosecutor prosecuting somebody, because they are just that, charges. You know, there have been great leaders who have been, charges have been brought against, but they have not been convicted. So a charge is just that, a charge. And in fact, as humbling as this may be, there are plenty of people around you, if not yourself, who has encountered law enforcement and has probably have had a traffic citation or some sort of citation of such that could have turned criminal if you went over a certain speed. It's more common than you think. So, with that being said, we have Fani Willis, who's probing into Trump. And she's doing this saying that he incited an insurrection on January 6th. However, this is a little bit how this works. And I hate when people want to get into the topic of discussion and discuss things, but they don't know how business works. Like, we have a lot of irate supporters of Fani Willis in the comments, and they want to be, you know, supporters, which is fine, but you have to understand business. So to understand business, you have to understand that there is a profession. The profession of hers is law. She is an attorney, and in law and as an attorney, there are certain things that you must do in order to not be disbarred. And one of those things you must do in order to not be disbarred is act with ethics. And a part of those, and the reason why a lot of people or organizations, members of the community, lobbyists, etc., would prefer that an attorney be bipartisan is because of the fact that she or he will be dealing with persons, or they now in 2023 will be dealing with persons. And when you're dealing with persons, you cannot let your biasness convict you to convict them. I don't know, there's a lot going on right now, but at the end of the day, we got Fani Willis, and she is obviously, you know, Democrat, liberal. She's not Republican. She is expressing from every which way her distaste for the Republican Party, and in so specific, Donald Trump. And in her position, which is, you know, of a high magnitude, not of the same caliber as Trump, but of a great magnitude, she is calling for the hatred of all Republicans. And however, you have to remember that Republicans are people. So what one person thinks, another person may not agree on. So just like we have Trump, who in an interview said, you know what, there are some good Democrats who are great candidates, but those loony, or the people who are over exercising their rights or their use of power, they are the ones who are complicating things. Okay, so let's remember that in order to win House, in order for a bill to be passed and go to the Senate, a lot of times it's built on relationships. So those Dems and those Republicans are actually sitting and working things out together in order to get things passed. It's not as messed up as you think it is, but the average person wouldn't know that. So average people get involved in politics and they're mentally ill, and they're promoting these mentally ill things instead of, this is just about policies. It's democracy, and democracies have gone back years and years, date back to Europe, you know, for the American Western culture, which we're modeled after, and we just kind of put our own little spin of this. Now it's a republic where we have representation. We'll go into that a little bit later, but anyway, so we have a person in a position who is supposed to carry out the workload or the caseload in her situation, and she's supposed to do it ethically.
Thousands of people, some who haven't even been charged with a crime yet, sitting in jail right now, and they have been for years in some of these cases.
Good evening. Chief Justice Michael Boggs made the very short trip across the street this week to brief Georgia lawmakers on this overwhelming case backlog, and that's really the word for it. You know, in Fulton County alone, there are 14,000 unindicted federal felony cases, and that's just the beginning of it. And really, the problem now is taxpayers are starting to have to foot this bill.
The numbers in certain parts of Georgia are truly astounding, and the resolution of these caseloads will not be easy.
Courts are drowning in cases. All the while, defendants are sitting behind bars without a day in court. And at a cost of around $18,000 a year to house inmates, the burden is now falling on taxpayers.
And what's happening right now is, like I said, her emotions are overriding the facts of the case.
But if we are trying to maintain confidence that this investigation is pursuing facts in a nonpartisan sense, no matter who the district attorney is, we follow the evidence where it goes and ignore the fact that I hosted a fundraiser for the political opponent of someone I've just named a target. That strikes me as problematic. Maybe not from an actual conflict level, but if we are at a cocktail party and people are asking, do you think that this is a fair and balanced approach to things? I do. Well, how do you explain this? How does one explain? I mean, that's the concern I'm working through, is that it's not a lowercase a appearance. It's like a capital A with flashy lights, fundraiser, district attorney for the political opponent. Horrific.
And so by this, like I said, she threw a fundraiser for the opponent, had a lot going on, you know, representing distaste for the opponent, and so much so that now the Atlanta media has gone on and showed the same distaste, only they're doing this on a national scale, which is what? Inciting hate. This is the same thing that you said that Trump is guilty for and are prosecuting for. Now, what I am here for today is to bring more facts.
Attorneys for a transgender woman say a long and emotional ordeal following her arrest on false drug charges has finally come to an end.
Juzima Goldring spent 6 months in the Fulton County Jail for charges that were eventually dropped.
Yeah, attorneys for Juzima Goldring say APD officers administered 2 tests trying to determine if the powdery substance they found in her homemade stress ball was cocaine. This was back in October of 2015 when she was arrested for jaywalking. Both results came back negative, but officers still charged her with trafficking cocaine. Now, it took tests from the GBI to prove ultimately that she was innocent, which led to that $1.5 million verdict from a federal jury last week after a trial. After Goldring was released from jail and her charges were dismissed, she sued, and that's when that case went to trial last week after all of these years. Now, the federal jury heard the evidence in the trial, heard about the conditions of the arrest and her time at the Fulton County Jail, and ruled that she deserved that $1.5 million verdict against the city of Atlanta.
Now, more fact involves me telling you about Atlanta and the things that are going on. Now, we have a multitude of unsolved cold cases. I mean, a great amount of unsolved cold cases dating back to, I think the last was 1973. Okay, keep that in mind. The last 1973, we have all these cold cases. We have backlogs from not only just eviction backlogs, but we have criminal and federal prosecutorial backlogs within the jurisdiction of Atlanta, Fulton County. Okay. And then we have a prosecuting attorney, Fani Willis, you know, and what is her job? To prosecute. Okay. But then take it a step further, we have a multitude of wrongful convictions in Atlanta also. And who's prosecuting attorney? All right. So if in your career, in these positions where you have to exercise a great amount of morals and ethics, correct? And in this career, if you do more bad than you do good, then you're considered what? Bad, just like anybody else. We all do bad and good at times. We're human. We make mistakes. There's cause for error, room for error. So if you do more bad than good, then generally speaking, you're bad. So in the city of Atlanta, we have a multitude of backlog of cases. We have a multitude of wrongful arrests. We have a multitude of police misconduct, of police brutality, of police shootings and killings. And we have a situation where there is no one to take care of the backlogs for evictions, for the criminal proceedings, and this is just going on and on. It can be very extensive into the things that are going on out here. Now, the homelessness, we won't start on the homelessness that's going on in Atlanta as well. Okay, so like I said, we have a lot going on in the city of Atlanta where it's like a complete disaster. You understand what I'm saying? We have people who are sitting in jail right now who have been sitting for years awaiting a hearing, their first hearing. You know, we have people who have not even been indicted from a grand jury or supervenient indictment right now because there's a backlog. But okay, there's a chance to redeem herself. Okay, the fact that, you know, we have all these officer involved shootings and killings and things like that, was there justice? No, it says that according to research, and then you can go to the previous video if you so choose. It says that those cases were closed. Fani Willis closed those cases. She closed the cases, most of the cases involving these officer-related shootings where the evidence appeared to be tampered with, i.e., the evidence didn't corroborate with the story that the officer had told her. But Again, like I said, her campaign was funded by the International Brotherhood of Police Officers, which means that someone was in the pocket. Okay, so we go on from there. We have wrongful arrests. Who's signing off on these wrongful arrests? Were these people, it is her. Who's making negotiations to see if these people who are wrongfully arrested will be brought to justice? Okay, it is her. We are seeing a pattern. And so when people come to me and they tell me, oh, you're only nitpicking because she is coming at Trump. No, I am trying to tell you that because she is coming at Trump, this will only get worse. And what I mean by that is he is a person of a higher caliber, somebody who has the resources to fight these things. You understand, despite what you say, we see businesses all the time that are filing for bankruptcy, etc. But that person individually may not be at the butte or reciprocal of being financially incapable or unstable at the moment. So we have this going on, but at the same time, okay, Fani Willis is attempting to go after Trump for an insurrection, so she claims that he incited. However, we see she's done the same thing. We see the biasness in her position that should not be shown, and that's the reason why certain guidelines were put in play. Like, for instance, Brian Kemp, he created laws that said, listen, a prosecutor can be removed if they act in this way. You got to understand the business. The business is she cannot carry herself in that way, yet she is, and no one is doing anything about it, which means that no one must be in the pocket. Somebody must be in the pocket of no one. You understand? So there's a lot going on, and the fact that we are all citizens, we are all people who are paying into this as Georgians, regardless of your level of classism, we're all contributing to this mess, and by the millions, you know what I'm saying? And that rises up individually for us as a percentage into the dollar amount that we are paying to make sure that these people are being housed, facilitated, prosecuted, etc. She is operating off of our dollar to allow corruption. And the thing that I'm hearing is, oh no, it's not a bad thing that she's doing this because she's got Trump. And so where in the world did it make it okay because she has the quote unquote white man, you black people that want to sit up here and play this race card that, you know, allegedly did all of this. So we're saying, what you're telling me is that it's okay for her to abuse the law, for her to tamper with the jury, for her to act without ethics or morals in a situation where we should be having someone with the most delicacy approach the case. And that's okay because it is somebody that you don't like. Here we're playing into emotions, and emotions won't work. Emotions are what are getting these these persons, especially black men, killed. That's what's getting them killed. Emotions. You understand? Biasness. And so we need to eliminate the biasness, and that's why we have the guidelines. And so for those of you who are operating outside of those guidelines or thinking along those lines, then apparently I'm not speaking with you because I'm speaking with reasonable people. You understand? So anyway, back to topic of discussion. It's a lot going on in the city, in the county, in the jurisdiction, in the district of Atlanta, of Fulton County. And we have the prosecuting attorney who is allowing all this to happen. And then once it happens, she is also defending it as it is happening. And meanwhile, there are people who are sitting in jail, literally people, we don't know if they're innocent or if they're guilty. They have not been brought to justice. We don't know. But they are charged, and most of them have not been charged, but they're sitting there awaiting. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever been someone who was at a red light and the red light hadn't turned, and so you were just sitting there? Can you imagine how that feels? Now imagine if you're sitting there and a year goes by. You're not gonna wait a year. But these people don't have a decision or a choice to not wait a year. They are there, and they are there because their prosecutor is so busy coming after someone else in her own biasness that she can't even operate. You understand what's happening right now? That's what is apparently happening. It is seemingly happening so. And so, you know, like I said, when I met with this opposition from persons who are probably also local police officers, representatives of, you know, the Fulton County District, or either someone in relation to her, you know, I want to say that the sword works both ways, okay? And it's not just criminals who are coming on here and for calling for justice. It's not just criminals. It's everyday citizens. It is leaders who are out here in the community and actually reaching with people, not on a biased, oh, I'm here to solve something, what do you need from me? But hey, in a refreshing, let me help you. How can I help you? I'm a community leader. I care about you. I can point you to the right resources. Those persons, you understand, who are really stepping up, see things that are happening. They experience it through the eyes and the film of the families. And so we are tired of sitting back and watching this happen, this injustice is happening, and nobody's doing nothing about it. Now, does this mean that the whole system is corrupt? Yes, the whole system is corrupt, but there are good people in a messed up system, and there needs to be good people there, even though the system is messed up. Because if you get shot today, sure, you can call and you can say, hey, I only want you to dispatch a fire or EMT, but chances are an officer is going to show up. And if an officer shows up, then you want him to act with integrity. And that's why things like this matter, because of under corrupt people will exist. But when you take away the corruption and you put people who are of substance and people who actually deserve these positions, that's when you're going to have a flourishing county, a flourishing district, a flourishing state. That's when it's